But without further ado, I am very excited to announce our first graduation showcase today of this part, and it is Appy as Larry with their product Giggle, and we're going to go over to Emily.
Thank you, Kev. Yeah, as Kev said, our team name is Appy as Larry. I'm Emily, and shortly you'll be hearing from Carl, Raphael, Francesca, and Sam, and we're going to introduce you to our app, Giggle. Could we go to the next slide, please? So as we eventually move out of a pandemic world, lots of people are looking to get out and about and back to large events like live music again. However, a problem we identified as a team was sometimes there's a gig in your local area and you really want to go to it, but you've got no one to go with. So with that in mind, Giggle's been designed to allow music fans to connect with other people of similar tastes in their local area to meet up with them and go to gigs with them. So we knew we wanted to create a mobile app and give users the ability to browse gigs in their area, filtering by their favourite genre. And once they found a gig they're interested in, be added to a chat with other members of the crowd. I'll hand over to Carl now to walk us through the demo.
Thanks, Emily. Right, good afternoon, everyone. So could you start the first video, please? Right, so on first opening the app, the user is greeted with a login screen, and using Firebase authentication, the user can access the app. This will bring them to the gig screen where they can browse the events listed by default for their chosen location and genre preferences. They can then sign up to the individual chat rooms, filter the results by genre and city, as well as sort the results by a number of options. So once a user has selected a few events that they are interested in, they can browse those events in a section we call crowds. So the app will create a chat group for each individual event. For the chat feature, we used Firestore real-time database. And this is basically where the users can discuss the upcoming event with all the other interested users of that certain group and arrange to attend the event as a group, ask for information, or just generally chat about the event. You can switch over to video 2, please. Yeah, so we also thought it should be important for the user to be able to buy tickets. So we provide a link for them to the Ticketmaster website, allowing the user to buy straight from the app. People will generally take the path of least resistance, and users are more likely to take action, 10 gigs if the tickets are easy to purchase. For the third video, which is already playing, signing up to the app is pretty standard. Provide an email and password. When the user signs up, they can set their initial preferences, such as location and favorite genre. And this will feed into what the user initially sees when first loading into the app. Then obviously they can also navigate to their profile page and see all their profile details. And that is about it. I'll just hand you over to Raphael to talk about our tech stack.
Hello, everyone. Can switch to the next one, please? Yeah. So our tech stack for the backend, we have Node.js, Firebase, and Ticketmaster as a data source. So the Node.js is our development environment where we handle the HTTP requests to the API. We chose to use the Firebase solutions, Firestore, and to set up our database. It is a NoSQL real-time database that updates as we go testing the app. And also it provides us a real nice solution for our chat rooms, which is the main feature of our app. So the design is completely built on React Native. So it's the most widely used solution for mobile app designing out there. That's why we picked it. And it also has some, has same principles as React as we learned throughout the course. So which was also another motivation to pick it. And we used Expo to emulate it on mobiles to test our development as we went through it. So the workflow methodology, we used GitHub to make version control of our apps, our development, and we did regular morning agile stand-up meetings to control our tasks and talk about what we were going to do throughout the day and what was done on the day before. So that's pretty much it. So I'll hand over to Francesca. She will explain us the design patterns. Thank you.
Thank you, Raf. Hi, everyone. So as you can see, we mainly went for a dark color scheme with different shades of blue. It kind of reflects the colors that you see in concept photography, you know, the dark crowds and the predominant stage lighting. We kind of use yellow to just brighten the app up a bit, also to grab users' attention and kind of lead their eye around the app. So, you know, the filter, button, navigation bar, highlights your interest, and also for the buying tickets. We decided to focus on the little details to create a more satisfactory customer experience, you know, making the app as responsive as possible. This includes providing feedback when when a button is pressed, either by changing its color or its opacity. You know, the extending gigs component to show more information, and then the sliding navigation bars and filters. You know, just kind of these simple touches we made to develop a more smooth running app. For the gigs list, we took inspiration from Facebook and Marketplace, and we used kind of cars to separate each gig element. After some various research into various companies, such as Tinder and Uber Eats, we decided to go for a more straightforward design for the logo. One that, you know, hints at the app's purpose without really cluttering up with too much detail. So our age demographic was generally anyone over the age of 18 who has interested in making friends and attending gigs, which was quite diverse. So therefore, we kind of wanted to make the app as usable and just as straightforward as possible. So that way, anyone from, you know, a tech-savvy 18-year-old to a technophobe 60-year-old can kind of use and operate it. Thank you for listening. So now on to Sam for the challenges that we have overcome.
Thank you, Fran. Firstly, I just want to say I'm really happy with the app and how it turned out in the end, given that we only had 8 days to code it. But as with any project, there were some challenges. And working with a development team this large was a new experience for all of us, and naturally brought with it a set of challenges and some really valuable experience. So the first one really was keeping everything in scope. We all had these great ideas about what we could get the app to do, and then it was a case of refining those ideas and generally just handling all these different strands of code from all these different sources, and just organizing it all was also a really valuable experience. So we had to make sure we were focused on what was deliverable. These were all new technologies, so we had to be realistic about what we could achieve. And we made the focus our chat feature for multiple users, and then syncing that kind of chat room creation with the response from the API. So we generate those chat rooms with the API's response and try and make it as seamless as possible. So the next sort of problem we faced was using these new technologies. So using completely new tech on the front and back end was really exciting, but also a little bit scary and challenging, but something we felt was right, given we wanted to make an app that was most suitable for its purpose. We really liked the idea of using cloud-based real-time storage systems because we hadn't really got to mess around with the cloud yet, and making a system with it was something that we really wanted to get our hands on and get some first-hand experience. So this did mean, however, we had to spike all the technologies we used just to fully judge their suitability, and through a joint effort, kind of interpret what the docs were saying, because they weren't always the clearest. So like basic examples in the docs for the Firebase, that we use in Firestore were really good for very simple chat features, but then changing those chat features so they actually work for multiple users simultaneously was something we had to sort of trial and error and work out together. So a big shout out to our 6th member of the team, Google, for all the help. The third challenge was the API, because it's the biggest and most complex API any of us have ever used. So the ones we've made ourselves and the ones we've used in the past have always been quite simple and easy. So actually, the requests to the API themselves were quite long and complex. And for a range of events, not just music, because like you say, everything is on Ticketmaster. So genres were returned in codes, and the actual information you had to give the API was a little bit coded itself. So we had to work out systems to interpret that information, so we could then change it on the response to properly display within the app. So we were refining and testing those queries, And that was really important for us to have an awareness of the amount of times we were sending off these requests, because we filter in a load of different ways. And if we were sending off a fresh request for each one, we'd probably look like we were like spamming the API. So it led us to filter more on the front end and to sort of understand intuitively how our app was working on both the back and the front end. So I'm going to pass to Emily now to talk about some of those ideas and what we would have done given a little bit more time.
Thanks, Sam. So we had a lot of ideas for our app that we weren't able to squeeze in. These included maybe gamifying the app a little bit. So maybe if a user's attended 10 or more gigs, they'd get a little award icon for that. We also wanted to use controls for when loads of people start joining the app and very large numbers in the chat groups. We wanted to add the ability for users to post their own gigs, which would maybe help to promote smaller venues. We also thought that the app has the potential to extend out to other types of events. It doesn't have to just be music. Obviously, the name Giggle lends itself quite well to comedy, but it could also be theatre, cinema, etc. And finally, this is an app where you're meeting strangers online, so we'd want to integrate some more safety features, maybe some tips about traveling to the venue safely and traveling home, and features like user identification and age verification. We could go to the final slide, please. That concludes our presentation. Thank you very much for listening. Maybe one day I'll see you all join the crowd on Giggle, and I'll open up for any questions.